Hey everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another crafty video. In today's video, we're going to be using products from the new release from Concord and 9th, and I'm going to walk you through how I put this card together, and you'll see the mistake that I made because the original intention was to have the camera on the front masked off so that the lines would not be going through it. But I messed up, and I'm just going to show you what the original thought process was and then what it actually ended up being. So I am taking the rainbow stamps from the Concord and 9th Brighter Days stamp set, and I am using 8 different colors of ink to ink up the arcs and the rainbow, and I use 2 colors per arc. The first one is MFT Red Hot and Simon Says Stamp Hot Lips, and in the video it doesn't look like there's much of a difference, and actually in person there's not really much of a difference either. The 2 colors were too close together, and I thought that they might be when I was picking colors, but I decided not to go with a darker red because I didn't want it to show through the card front, because this is a 1-layer card for the most part. The front of it is, there's a little pop-up feature inside. So that was the first arc. The second arc, I used Hero Art's Midtone Dark Quartz, which I don't think I've ever used that ink before, and it's really, really pretty. And I also used Hero Art's Midtone Lemon Yellow, which if you look at the front of it, it looks like it's a lime green, but it is a really, really pretty yellow. I'm glad that I swatched out my colors. If you see in the front when I show you the colors, there's a little dot on there, and I swatched out most of my stamp or my die ink colors so that I can see when I'm pulling out the colors. So the third arc is MFT Gumdrop Green and Hero Art's Midtone Pool, which creates a really pretty blue-green when they mix together. I love when the 2 colors mix together, and when I stamped them a couple times, so I went back over them to kind of blend the colors where the 2 meet. And for the smallest arch, I used My Favorite Things Periwinkle and Hero Art's Shadow Ink, Midtone Shadow Ink in Grape Juice. So that was a really, really dark purple, and I actually, when I stamp it the second time, I don't use any more of that grape juice because it did show up so vibrantly through the cardstock, or on the cardstock, and I think you can kind of see it on the front when I fold the card. The reason that I did not score the card until now was that I wanted the rainbow to not have a funky line in the middle of it. If I folded it and then stamped it, it would have a crease down the middle of it. Now, if I had actually measured things out like I should have, I would have had the center point going right through the middle of the arc of the rainbow. That did not work out, so I kind of did screw that up. But I'm actually going to stamp the sentiment from the Brighter Days stamp set that says "Sending Sunshine and Rainbows," and I didn't realize that I had it backwards, and I actually thought I went from red to green, and I actually went from green to red. So I'm going to be using Simon Says Stamp Hot Lips, the Dark Quartz, the Lemon Yellow, and then the Gumdrop Green. So I used those 4 colors to ink up the sentiment, and that's when I realized, duh, I actually did it backwards. And then the red didn't come out, the Hot Lips didn't come out too good, and it moved slightly, so there's a little bit of a double stamp on the sentiment. But again, this is just kind of, I don't know that I'm actually going to send this card, I just really wanted to see how this card would work out. So the next thing I did was, this is where I messed up. I took a piece of scrap paper and I inked up the camera from an MFT set, and this is one of the new ones, and I don't think, it's called Oh Snap. I inked up the camera, and I thought that I was going to use this as a mask. Now, because it was slick paper, I put it to the side to let it dry, and because I had it out of my sight, I messed up. I was actually going to use that mask before I stamped the front of the card. And there I think you see Fred. I think Fred was joining me for a little bit. So right now I realize I score my rainbow, and you can clearly see that I did not line it up properly. If I do it again, I would definitely measure. Again, I'm kind of iffy on it right there. But, you know, we learn from our mistakes, and boy, did I make a lot of them in this card. So this is why sometimes when I'm doing a lot of cards or I'm doing a new technique, I will try out a card before I do a video or do a process video, or kind of do mass production, or if I'm giving it to somebody, I try out the card first. So I decided to just go with this and show you the process and how many times I messed up. So you can keep count. So I think this is the second or third time I've messed up so far. Now I was just rubbing my hands over top of that pinstripe background from Concord and 9th because it's new and I've never inked up any of these stamps before. So you'll see me do that in a lot of them. So I decided to go in with the Hot Lips, the Dark Quartz, the Lemon Yellow, the Gumdrop Green, and the Mid-Tone Pool. So I went over and just kind of overlapped it with the one before. And because I didn't tape it down, I wanted to really press well because I didn't want to stamp it again because I knew that it would shift a little bit and you wouldn't get those clean, crisp lines. So it was at this point that I realized, oh crap, I meant to use a mask and mask the camera off. However, it didn't turn out too bad because the lines in the middle were super light, and I was able to take the camera stamp from Oh Snap and use the grape juice, ink it up, and it actually comes out very nice on top of the stripes, and it kind of actually gives it a little bit of texture. But I did want to put a sentiment on there, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it because there's actually a little piece with the die set that will cut out a slit so that you can put an actual Polaroid in there. But I didn't want to do that because, again, this was a one-layer card. So I picked out the sentiment that says, "You're incredible," and inked it up with the My Favorite Things Periwinkle ink. And it does show up through, it's a very light ink, but it does show up through the stripes on the front of the card. That's what I was afraid of. I inked it up twice just to give it a little bit more of a darker color. So I inked it up, and I thought think it looks really cute. And then I'm going to get ready to assemble the card. So I'm taking the cloud and picking my scoreboard up again, and I am just scoring the two ends of the clouds because I want to attach them to the card base. Now, I don't know if you need to do this. I also scored down the middle. Once I scored it once in the front and then once in the back because I think that I was supposed to actually score it in the back, turn it over, and then score it. I wanted to see where it was going to line up on the fold. Kind of scored right down the middle. I don't know that I love the fold in it. I probably should have just let it fold naturally. But again, this is how you learn through your mistakes. I took some Zig two-way glue and put glue on the two ends and then just kind of held it there because the first time I went to try to fold the card and the glue was not dry, so the cloud started to come up, and then I used my bone folder to press it down, and then I folded it and then used my bone folder to crease it. And it doesn't really pop up, so I think that my scoring it on both sides really affected it. But that's it. That's the card. So I hope that you guys enjoy it. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I will see you guys real soon in the next video. Here's a picture of the inside of the card. Thanks. Bye.